Is BJP weaponizing CJP against Congress? Might sound funny, but this is what I want to discuss today. Namaskar and welcome to all viewers. Today I want to discuss a very interesting question arising from the ongoing protests demanding the resignation of Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. The stated issue is straightforward: irregularities and alleged paper leaks in competitive examinations such as NEET, and the demand for accountability from the education minister. But when we look closely at the people participating in these protests, the political forces surrounding them, and various issues being raised, a much bigger question emerges. In this rally, a students' agitation, or has it become a platform where different political parties, ideological groups, and interest lobbies are pursuing their own agenda? That is a question we need to examine. First, let us look at the composition of the protest. If this were purely a students' movement, one would expect the central focus to be on the problem faced by students: exams, irregularities, paper leaks, the pressure of competitive coaching fees, and future of young people. But the picture appears to be much broader. We see different groups and political interests bringing their own issues into the same space, issues relating to Article 370, the Waqf issue, delimitation, women's reservation, and several other political controversies. Alongside them, there are ideological groups, left liberal activists, students' organization, and what some critics describe as professional agitators. There are also allegations that political parties sometimes mobilize their own cadres during such protests. Now, I am not saying that every person participating in this protest is politically motivated. Certainly, there are genuine students and young people who have legitimate grievances. But the question is, who is actually leading this movement? And this brings us to the biggest weakness of the protest. According to my analysis, the movement appears to have no clear and unified chain of command. Abhijeet Dipke, who is seen as one of the prominent faces associated with the protest, may be able to articulate some of the demands. But when you have several independent groups, each with its own agenda, it becomes extremely difficult for one person to control the entire crowd. Who gives the instruction? Who decides the next step? Who negotiates with the government? And if something goes wrong, who takes the responsibility? This is a classic problem of a coalition without a common command structure. When the police stop a march, for example, a strong leadership can immediately communicate with the crowd and decide whether to negotiate, disperse, or change strategy. But when a protest consists of many different groups, the leadership can quickly fragment it and raises another important question: who actually benefits from such protests? Every political party has its own calculations. The Congress has its own agenda. The BJP has its own political strategy. The left has ideological interests. The regional parties have their own electoral concern. And different activist groups have their own causes. So while everyone may appear to be standing together on one platform, they may actually be pursuing completely different objectives. This brings to the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi into focus. There is an interesting political lesson from a movement of 2011. At that time, massive anti-corruption movement developed in Delhi. The movement created enormous political energy outside the traditional political parties. And out of the movement emerged Arvind Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party. The result, the Congress, which had been dominant political force in Delhi, eventually lost power to AAP. And the AAP later expanded its political presence beyond Delhi, including in Punjab at the cost of Congress. So naturally, every established political party will be extremely careful when a new movement begins attracting public attention, because today's protest leader can become tomorrow's political competitor. This crowd explains why Congress may be reluctant to give CJP the movement complete political ownership. At the same time, Rahul Gandhi has his own political strategy. If a new movement becomes popular, he has to ensure that the opposition space does not get occupied entirely by the political personality. Therefore, it becomes a race for visibility. Who gets the camera? Who gets the headlines? Who gets the credit? The protest movement or Rahul Gandhi and Congress. And this is precisely where BJP may see an opportunity. Instead of confronting the protest directly, the government can invite the protest leaders for discussion. Politically, this is a very clever strategy, because the moment government invite a protest group for dialogue, it gives the group recognition. For CJP, it's a victory. They can say, look, the government has recognized us. We have been invited for discussion. But there is another side to this. The moment CJP receives recognition, the other opposition party may become uncomfortable. Why? Because the protest movement is now getting political importance at their expense. If BJP can talk to CJP instead of Congress, who can get the political mileage? CJP. If CJP becomes stronger, who loses the political space? Potentially Congress and the other opposition parties. So the BJP may be attempting to exploit a fundamental weakness within the opposition, their inability to act as one united political force. This is not necessarily about defeating the protest through force. This is about managing the protest politically. Bring the leaders to the table, give them recognition, engage with them, and in the process, perhaps prevent the movement from becoming an uncontrollable political force. But there is another dimension to the entire NEET controversy that we should not ignore. The coaching industry. Today, the competitive examinations have become massive business. Many students feel that what they learn in school is not enough to compete successfully in examinations such as NEET and other entrance tests. As a result, parents spend enormous amount of money on coaching centers. And here is the question: why has coaching become so powerful? One reason is that competitive examinations often demand preparation beyond the regular school curriculum. If students feel that they cannot succeed without specialized coaching, they are pushed into multi-billion rupee coaching ecosystem. And when so much money is involved, the stakes become enormous. Coaching centers earn huge revenues, parents spend heavily, students face enormous pressure, and the temptation for malpractices, cheating, and paper leaks becomes a serious problem. Therefore, NEET controversy should not be viewed only as a political fight between government and opposition. It should also be examined as a structural problem involving the examination system, the coaching industry, and the enormous financial pressure placed on students and parents. If paper leaks are taking place, the government must act firmly. There must be accountability, there must be transparency, and genuine students must not suffer because of the failure of the examination system. But at the same time, we must ask whether the genuine student grievances are being used as vehicle by political parties and ideological groups to pursue entirely different agendas. This is the central question. So, is this really students' agitation? My answer is there are certainly genuine students and genuine grievances involved, but the larger protest appears to have become much more than that. It has become a meeting point for multiple political interests. The left has its concern, Congress has its calculation, regional parties have their ambition, activist groups have their agenda, and BJP has its own political strategy. And somewhere in the middle are the genuine students, the very people whose problem started this entire controversy. The real tragedy would be if their legitimate concern are lost in this political battle because students do not need political theater. They need clean examination system, they need transparency, they need accountability. And most importantly, they need an education system where success does not depend entirely on how much money their parents can spend on coaching. So while the political parties fight over who gets the credit, who gets the headlines, who controls the movement, perhaps we should return to the original question, what about the students? And that ultimately should be the real focus of this entire debate. Thank you for watching. If you found this analysis interesting, please share your views in the comments. And also, please don't forget to share the subscribe and like button. Thank you very much.